Global Gridlock Report. Ghanaians demand end to illegal gold mining. Amidst ongoing protests. In Ghana, the streets have been filled with a wave of protests as thousands of citizens demand an end to the widespread illegal gold mining activities that are ravaging their environment and local communities. The unrest highlights a growing concern in the West African nation over the environmental and social impacts of these unregulated mining operations, which have been linked to severe pollution, deforestation, and a host of other problems affecting rural communities. Before we proceed, please like, comment, and subscribe to help us with the YouTube algorithm. The demonstrations, which began as small gatherings, have now grown into a nationwide movement. Protesters, carrying banners and chanting slogans, have converged on major cities like Accra and Kumasi, calling on the government to take immediate and decisive action against illegal miners known locally as galamsey operators. The frustration among the populace is palpable, as citizens believe that authorities have not done enough to clamp down on these activities that are causing long-term harm to the country's natural resources. Many of the demonstrators argue that illegal mining is not only an environmental disaster, but also a social and economic one. The contamination of rivers and streams with toxic chemicals such as mercury and cyanide, often used in gold extraction processes, has led to widespread water pollution. This, in turn, has had a devastating impact on agriculture, as polluted water sources are no longer viable for irrigation, leading to crop failures and loss of livelihoods for thousands of farmers. Adding to the economic strain, the depletion of forest cover due to illegal mining has resulted in diminished land available for farming and hunting, making it harder for rural communities to sustain themselves. For many Ghanaians, particularly those in affected areas, the impact of illegal mining feels like an existential threat. With food and water supplies compromised and lands left barren, some communities have been left on the brink of collapse. The Ghanaian government has acknowledged the severity of the issue and has made several attempts in the past to curb illegal mining. In 2017, President Nana Akufo-Addo launched Operation Vanguard, a military-led initiative aimed at rooting out illegal miners and dismantling their operations. However, despite initial successes, many believe that these efforts have lost momentum and that the illicit activities have since resurged, often with more sophistication and better coordination. Critics of the government's approach point to allegations of corruption and complicity among local authorities, who are accused of turning a blind eye to illegal mining in exchange for bribes. There are also claims that some officials have financial stakes in these operations, making it difficult to implement reforms or enforce regulations effectively. The ongoing protests are, in part, a reaction to what many see as the failure of governance and the inability of institutions to protect the interests of ordinary Ghanaians over those of powerful and well-connected individuals. The environmental devastation wrought by illegal mining has also attracted the attention of international organizations and environmental groups. Many of these entities have called for more stringent measures to be taken, including stronger enforcement of existing laws, increased transparency in the mining sector, and greater involvement of local communities in decision-making processes related to natural resource management. As the protests continue to gain momentum, there are fears that the situation could escalate if the government does not respond promptly. There have already been reports of clashes between demonstrators and police, with tear gas and water cannons being used to disperse crowds in some instances. The protesters, however, remain undeterred, vowing to continue their actions until they see tangible results and a clear commitment from the government to end illegal mining once and for all. One of the key demands of the protesters is for the government to revoke the licenses of companies found to be engaging in illegal mining activities, and to ensure that those responsible are held accountable. They are also calling for a comprehensive rehabilitation plan for areas that have been destroyed by illegal mining, including reforestation and the provision of alternative livelihoods for affected communities. The Ghanaian government now faces a critical test. With the eyes of the nation, and indeed the world, on how it handles this crisis, there is an urgent need for it to demonstrate leadership and a commitment to sustainable development. The outcome of these protests could have far-reaching implications, not only for Ghana's environment and economy, but also for the broader struggle against illegal mining across Africa. For now, the streets of Ghana remain a battleground for the future of the country's natural resources. As the protests continue to intensify, the question on everyone's mind is whether the government will heed the call of its citizens, or if the people will have to keep fighting to protect their land and heritage.